All right, my sunflower seeds. Now as we close out our warm up time, I know many of you were looking at me real crazy when you saw that your warm up was you adding and subtracting numbers, and many of you were like, Miss Rainey, why did you give us? Why are we just adding and subtracting numbers? And you all probably thought Miss Rainey had lost her mind, but if you notice, some of those numbers actually had signs in front of them. Some numbers had the negative sign in front of them. Some of them had a positive sign in front of them, and then some of them just didn't have anything, right? And that is because we are continuing in learning how to add and subtract our integers. And we know another name for our integers are signed numbers or is signed numbers, right? And what happens is the way we identify sign numbers, or the reason that they are called sign numbers, is because we take an ordinary number and we place a sign in front of it, which tells us the value of the number. When we have positive numbers, you sometimes every now and then will see an actual plus sign or a positive sign in front of it, but for the most part, the number is just by itself. And we know that it just automatically know that it is a positive number. Now, negative numbers are very specific. They actually have the negative sign in front of them so that we know that this is indeed a negative number. That is all important when it comes to adding and subtracting integers. You have to be able to identify the different types of numbers so that you know what strategies to use when we are adding and subtracting. And that is what we are going to talk about on today. So, in your recipe books, one thing that I want you to go back to is, remember I had you to write the words to this song, and it was like same sign add and keep. Y'all remember that? All right, so that's where we're gonna go, and we're gonna start there. So the song says, same sign add and keep, different sign subtract. We take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. The first thing I want you to note about this is we only use this song, or the strategies in this song, or the rules of math, um, when we are for this song when we are adding integers. This song or strategy only applies when we are adding integers. Look at your neighbor and say, this only applies when we are adding integers. Adding is the key word here, okay? So we're going to go through what that means here, and we're going to do a couple of examples, explain the song, and then we're going to go through some examples, okay, while we do it. So when we are adding integers, that means when you look at the problem, it has a plus sign in the middle. So for instance, if you look at these two problems, you see that there is a plus sign in the middle, which tells us that we are adding. If you have an addition problem with integers, we are going to use this strategy. Okay? So the first line says, same sign, add, and keep. What does that mean, Ms. Rainey? I'm so glad y'all asked. Let me tell you. So same sign means you have two numbers that we are adding together, and both of the numbers have the same sign. So either both numbers are positive or both numbers are negative. Either both numbers are positive or both numbers are negative. Somebody give me a positive number. 5, okay. Somebody else give me another positive number. 6, okay. So both numbers are positive, which means they have the same sign. Now do me a favor. Can somebody give me a negative number? -3. Got it. I need another negative number. -2. Okay, so you have -3 and you have -2. Both of those numbers have the same sign, and the sign that they have is a negative sign. When we have the same sign, when the two numbers have the same sign, and it is an addition problem, we simply add the two numbers together and keep the sign that both numbers have. And this is what that looks like. So here we have in our example, so you see same sign, add, and keep. That's the first line of our little song, right? What that means is this. Here we have -5 plus -6. Do both of these numbers have the same sign? Yes. What sign is in front of both of these numbers? Good, negative. So since both of them have the same sign and there is an addition sign in the middle, which means we're adding, we're simply going to add the two numbers together. And so 5 plus 6 is absolutely 11. So that's add and keep. We're going to keep their sign. So since both of them have a negative sign, we are going to keep the negative sign. So our answer becomes or is -11. Got it? Any questions? All right. So then in this particular problem, we notice that we have 8 plus 4. Do these two numbers have the same sign? They do. What sign do these two numbers have? Positive sign. Exactly. Because remember, when we're writing our positive numbers, we don't always put the plus sign or the positive sign in front of it. We simply just write the numbers, right? Right. So both numbers are positive. So that means they have the same sign. So we're going to add. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Yes. 8 plus 4. So we added the numbers and we're going to keep the sign. And this sign for both numbers is positive sign. Thus, the answer is positive 12 or just 12. Any questions? All right. So same sign, we add and keep. Well, then the next line says, but when you have different signs, you subtract. Different signs, subtract. What that means is one number is positive and the other number is negative. Or one number is negative plus the other number, which will be positive. Any order, it doesn't matter if the positive number is first or the negative number is first. If they have different signs, we will then subtract. Here is what that looks like. So different signs subtract. So here we have -15 plus, what is this? +7. Exactly. So do they have the same signs or do they have different signs? Different signs. So because they have a different sign, we subtract. Yes, good. So what that looks like is this. 15 minus 7. I know this plus sign is here, and that's what throws us off sometimes, but I need you to remember this line. Different sign, subtract. So when there's a different sign, I know this plus sign is going to make you want to add, but no, no, no. This is when we subtract. And I'll show you on the number line later, but for right now, we are learning it this way, okay? So 15 minus 7 equals what? 8. Yes, it equals 8. Now, we figured out that part. We've done the math. The second part of that is we have to now figure out if the answer is going to be positive or negative. And if you look at the next line of your song, I didn't write it because you all have it in your recipe books. But if you look at the next line of the song, it tells you, take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. And what that means is we're going to look at both numbers and we're going to determine which number is larger. In this case, 15 is larger. So we're going to take the sign of the larger number. Since 15 is the larger number, we are going to take that sign, which is negative. And so our answer will then be negative. Take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. So different signs, we subtract, do the math portion, and then you look for the larger number. Whichever number is larger, that's what sign you are going to use. Okay? Here's another one. We have 9 plus -3. 9 plus -3. So if you have +9 and -3, are the signs the same or are they different? Absolutely. They are different. So what we learned is when it's a different sign, we do what? Subtract. So let's do it. 9 minus 3. What is 9 minus 3? Absolutely. 6. Good. You guys are doing really well. All right. And so now we have to determine if 6 is going to be positive or negative. And the way to do that is we look for the larger number. And in this case, the larger number is what? You got it, 9. Is 9 positive or negative? Thus, our answer is going to be positive 6 or just 6. All right? Y'all got it? Any questions? So when we are adding, and we are adding, remember this is for adding only. So we're adding, same sign, add, keep, different sign, subtract. Take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. And then we move on over to subtracting, right? When we subtract integers, the rules change. This is when we do what we know as keep, change, opposite. Keep, change, opposite. Or what you all also call KCO. We do keep, change, opposite. Now, this little note that I want you to put in your recipe books, just like earlier. When this only applies when we are subtracting. Keep, change, opposite only happens when we are subtracting. Okay? Subtracting. So keep, change, opposite means we keep the first number, we change the subtraction sign to a plus sign, and then we take the opposite of the last number. So -3, the opposite of -3 becomes +3. And then we revert back to the rules of adding integers. Ain't that something? And the reason we do that is because when we are subtracting, ultimately what we are saying is just that we are adding the opposite. Okay? So keep, change, opposite. We keep the first number. We change subtraction to plus. And then we take the opposite of the last number. So in this case, we've done that. We now have 12 plus 3, which now we have two numbers with the same sign, and we're adding. So the answer to this is 12 plus 3, 15. All right? Now, let's do some practice. Here, -20 minus 7. We keep. Here, let me do this for some of you because this is going to help you. Just put your KCO over each little thing so you don't forget what you're supposed to do and you don't get confused, okay? So we keep -20. We change subtraction to addition, and we take the opposite of +7. The opposite of +7 is, you got it, -7. And I just put the parentheses around it so that you're not confused, right? And so now we have -20 plus -7. And again, we go back to the rules of adding integers because now this is an addition problem. And we have -20 plus -7. They are the same sign. So we add -20 or 20 plus 7 is 27. And we keep the sign, negative. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to give you a few moments to work this out for yourself. I think you all can do this one by yourself. You're doing well. Good. All right. So, KCO. And we're going to keep -10. We are going to change subtraction to addition. And the opposite of -2 is +2. So now we have a problem that we have an addition problem where the signs are different. And so we have different signs. What do? Subtract. Good. So 10 minus 2 is absolutely 8. And how do we know if it's going to be positive or negative? Or can you tell me if it's going to be positive or -8? Absolutely, -8 because the 10 is larger and we keep the sign of the larger number. Good? All right, so what you have in front of you is you have a couple of practice problems. I am going to, you all are already in your groups, so I want you to work together in your group. So if you notice, we have 4 groups, 6 groups of 4. I'm sorry. You notice we have 6 groups of 4. So 3 of the groups are the groups on this side, the sunflower seeds are going to work on adding, and then the scholars, you all are going to work on subtracting. And then we will, when the timer goes off, we will come back together and you all will come together. The scholars and the sunflower seeds will come together and discuss what your answers are. You will check each other basically. So scholars, you all will subtract. Sunflower seeds, you all will add. And when the timer goes off, scholars, you will check sunflower seeds, you will check the scholars, and then you all will discuss how you came up with your response until we come back together to review. Okay? Y'all got that? All right, so now that you all have done your adding, now that you've done your subtracting, you have discussed it with each other, you have made some corrections with and for and to each other, which I thought was absolutely amazing. Your questions were great. Remember, there's never a dumb question. If you don't understand, I need you to raise your hand and ask a question. All right, so now that we are back in our independent seats, what I need you to do is you all have your integer maze in front of you that you are going to answer. I am going to give you about 7 minutes to work on that independently. So you can't use Google, you can't use Siri, you can't use Bixby, you can't phone a friend, you can't use your neighbor. This you have to work on independently. You can use your teacher if you get confused though. Okay? Now remember, when Ms. Ramey gives a maze, if your answer goes from top to bottom to finish, or if you get to finish in a straight line and it seems really easy for you to get to the finish line, you're probably wrong. Ms. Ramey does not give you mazes that are that simple. Okay? All right. Now, before we get all the way started, does anybody have any questions on adding integers or subtracting integers? Now, tomorrow we will pick up right here, but tomorrow we're going to do it using the number line. Okay? I don't like to teach the number line first because you all become dependent on the number line and you have a hard time when you have to do it not using the number line. So I like to teach this way first, but tomorrow we'll pick up with our number lines, okay? All right, no questions? If you have questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand and Miss Ramey will come around to you, or you can join me here at the blue table. If I have any scholars who still feel like they do not understand thy word of math, come on, the doors of the classroom are open. You can come hang out with Miss Ramey at the blue table, okay? All right. All right, scholars. So now that we've had our independent practice, you all did an excellent job working on your mazes. It was amazing. The questions that you had were great. I love that you were open when you didn't understand and that you did reach out and get the help that you needed. Great job. Give yourselves some snaps. And as you get ready to pack up for the day, you all should have your index cards. Everybody should have an index card. If you do not have an index card, please raise your hand. Let me know. All right, everybody's good? Cool beanies. All right, so you have 2 questions, well, kind of more like 4 questions for your exit ticket today. I just want you to put what you learned into practice. So your exit ticket today is simple. You all are going to answer these questions, okay? And I am going to sit the questions up on the board so that you can see them. If you need to move to be able to see them, let me know. Once you are done, or go ahead and move. Once you are done with your exit tickets, you are going to hand them in to Ms. Ramey, and then you can line up at the door. All right, my sunflower seeds. You all have an amazing day. Great job today.